Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. You know what they say about karma. And if you don't know, I'll let Harvard professor Roland Fryer explain it for you.
One of the details in this story is that you were suspended by a woman who I had never heard of until recently. Her name is Claudine Gay, and she said this in a letter to the economics department at the time. Professor Fryer exhibited a pattern of behavior that failed to meet the expectations of conduct within our community and was harmful to the well-being of its members. The totality of these behaviors is a clear violation of institutional norms and a betrayal of trust of the Harvard community. So I guess I want to ask, do you believe in karma?
I hear it's a mother.
And also, does calling for the genocide of Jews constitute bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
1,000%.
So that was mugged by reality liberal Barry Weiss. In her new interview with Fryer, they explore what happened to him since the year 2016, when he decided that telling the truth was more important than selling a narrative, no matter how politically convenient for BLM and the never-Trump fear-mongers of that contentious election year. His study found no evidence, let me repeat that, no evidence of racial bias in police shootings. Cops were not shooting Black or Hispanic suspects more. In fact, they were slightly more likely to shoot at white suspects. It was the kind of result that Fryer said his colleagues told him could ruin his career. So despite the fact that his study took a year to produce, he hired 8 more research assistants and redid the study, only to get to the same conclusion. Fryer may have known that he would face backlash for his work, but I don't think he realized just how severe it would be. Listen.
So it was, you know, I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for, because, you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy.
Fryer was the youngest ever professor to receive tenure at Harvard. He was only 30 years old when he got it. And unlike Claudine Gay, the child of wealthy immigrant parents who sent her to the best schools growing up, Fryer is a foundational Black American who grew up in abject poverty with crack dealers in the household, and yet he succeeded in life. So to have someone like Fryer admit that the BLM narrative is false was too much for Claudine Gay, who was dean at the time, and her ilk to bear. It's those sorts of lies that prop up their ill-gotten empire of money and wealth, after all. And so next thing you know, Fryer was being accused of the left's favorite weapon, that he was maybe flirting with some of the adult women in his classes. It's a nothing burger that Fryer denies to this day. And yet he lost his reputation and was suspended from Harvard for 2 years by Gay. That's why he indulged in some schadenfreude with Barry Weiss when asked about Gay's fall from grace earlier this year on anti-Semitism and plagiarism charges. Joining us now to discuss is Michael Letts, the founder and CEO of Invest USA. Michael, thanks for being here tonight.
Always a privilege, Garrett. Thank you so much for what you're doing for this country.
You as well. So it's pretty clear, right, that the left has a vested interest in making cops look like inhuman monsters. And they don't want facts getting in the way of that. Hence why Roland got the boot after a study, would you say?
Well, you know, it's interesting when you take a look at what he had said. His initial part of the study showed that there was a slightly, perhaps more aggressive role initially with, on traffic stops, just simply kind of confronting people, et cetera, with the Black community, but very minor. But yet when it came to what Blacks are really talking about, that they're being victimized by shootings, they're actually 23.8% less likely than whites to be shot at. And because of the fact it did not line up with the narrative that the liberal Democratic left wing is trying to do, they went after the whole study. They just went after him personally. It just goes to show you, every time government gets involved on a narrative that they don't support, they pull out all stops to destroy the person's reputation, to destroy their life, to destroy their well-being. And I think America's fed up with it. I think enough's enough, and I think it's time to fight back.
I think so as well, and you're exactly right. You know, Fryer says when he finally ended up releasing the study, because he fully expected it to show that there would be a heavy racial bias in police shootings. He thought there would be a lot of discrimination. He was as shocked as everyone else